everyone, welcome to Good Morning Toowoomba. This beautiful Monday morning, October the 12th in the Toowoomba CBD. You will notice, if you look outside, clouds. It is partly cloudy with a 30% chance of 1 to 5 millimetres of rain and a possible late thunderstorm. So that rain dancing, that wishing, praying, hoping, meditating for rain is definitely working somewhere. It's currently 16 degrees in the CBD and we will hit a top of 25 degrees today with humidity currently at 87%. The Groom preselection will be on. It will take place on October the 25th, Sunday. It will be, at this stage, a combination of in-person and live streaming. And from what we're hearing, the two frontrunners are emerging as Dr. David Van Ghent and Garth Hamilton. They're really, really well-known members of the party and have strong backing as a result of that because people know who they are. They know that they're not new to the party. They know how the party works. They know what a convention is. And they've put in the hard yards, so they seem to have quite strong support on both of their sides of the camp. So we'll see how that plays out, but that will be October the 25th on the Sunday. We will find out who the candidate for the LNP is for the Groom by-election to take place late November. The state election ballot draw was done yesterday. Across the state, there was a record number of nominees. I will go through all of those for the Southern Downs, Condamine, Toowoomba North and Toowoomba South. Now I must point out that with the election period in full swing as of Monday next week, that's when pre-polling will open across the state, Monday next week, the 19th of October. Postal ballots are being sent out as of today, now that the ballot draw has been done. So if you've applied for a postal ballot, expect that in the mail. Be very, very cautious about who you're voting for if parties aren't putting out policies until just before election day. The last thing you want to do is go to the ballot and vote based on who you think will be good, to only a few days later have that person turn around and say, we're going to do this, and you don't agree with it. So just do your research, vote properly, make sure you number every box on the ballot paper. It is compulsory preferential, and the preferences are yours to give. They're not. It doesn't matter what the parties are preferencing. That is really just for on the how to vote cards. So if you want to number one, the One Nation Party, number two, the Greens, and then number the rest, that's your preference. That is where they will go come tallying of the votes on the 31st of October. It is illegal to tamper with election signs. If you see people doing it, report it. There's been reports of a number of election signs littering around the Toowoomba region. They're only litter if people tamper with them and throw them in gutters. So just don't do it. If you do see someone doing it, please report that. And they're expensive, and the last thing we want is them ending up in the waste. In Toowoomba North, in ballot draw order, so it is fair, we have Ron Humphrey for the One Nation, Trevor Watts for the LNP, Stella Sokolova for the United Australia Party, Alice Nelligan for the Greens, and Megan O'Hara-Sullivan has drawn the final barrier for the ALP in Toowoomba North. In Toowoomba South, we have Dylan Kozlowski for One Nation. So again, One Nation have scored the top spot on both Toowoomba North and Toowoomba South's ballot draw. Thomas Coyne for the Greens. Alan Turner for One Nation, for Clive Palmer's United Australia Party. David Janetsky for the LNP. Robert Berry, which many people will remember from having run in pretty much every election since the dawn of time, and Susan Krause for the Australian Labor Party. So again, Labor drawing the final barrier for the Toowoomba South ballot. In Condamine, and not a lot of people talk about Condamine in the Southern Downs, but they are an integral part of the Darling Downs region. So in Condamine, Sean Walmsley for the Greens, Greg Preby for One Nation, Pat Weir for the LNP, Brendan Hybricks for the Australian Labor Party, and Nui Harris for Clive Palmer's United Australia Party. So a little bit of a different setup over in Condamine, and interesting to see that there are 5 candidates out there. The Southern Downs has the most. Tom Henderson for the Greens, Joel Riches for the Australian Labor Party, James Lister for the LNP. So that's the only one out of the 4 that Labor has scored higher on the ballot than the LNP, which could play interestingly on the old donkey vote down the page. Malcolm Richardson for the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party. Deborah Waldron for the Legalised Cannabis Party, and Rosemary Malden for One Nation. So a few interesting parties running out in the Southern Downs. We'll see how they all play out down the track. Business at Dusk at the Chamber of Commerce is on again this month on October the 21st. It's being hosted by TAFE Queensland over at the Bridge Street TAFE site. It is open for members first, and non-members, if not all the tickets are sold, will then be opened up at a later date. So if you haven't been to a Business at Dusk, I can highly recommend it. They're great networking opportunities. Tickets are limited though, with gathering restrictions still in place across the state, and all we can hope for is that finally those will be eased, not just for sporting but for everyone else across the state as well. I don't think it's overly fair that outdoor sporting venues are having all their restrictions eased and the rest of us are still stuck in we can't dance in club mode. So, or at weddings, we'll see if that is going to change post-election or not will be yet to be decided. But interestingly, it is to note that the Northern Territory was very, very adamant they were not going to open their borders, and the Labor Party then subsequently won the state election up there, and all of a sudden, welcome to New Zealand. You can come in from New Zealand to the Northern Territory now. Same thing, the Labor Party in Western Australia, we're not going to open our borders until after our election, and interestingly and coincidentally, the same thing in New Zealand and in Queensland. So all I can see is a trend starting to appear across those Labor-controlled states. So don't vote for them if you are just thinking that they're doing it not for political reasons. Last week was Mental Health Week, with Saturday being World Mental Health Day, and trying to break the stigma on stress, anxiety and depression, not just depression by itself, because depression gets talked about a lot, but people don't realise that stress and anxiety can be quite detrimental to people's health just as much as depression, or even lead people to a depressive state. It is okay to ask for help. There is nothing weak about asking for help and seeking professional support. If you need to talk to someone, go to a GP, mental health care plan, get your 10 appointments with a psychologist, go and talk to a psychologist. Even if it's just someone for you to rant at for an hour, it can be really, really beneficial to your health and being a healthier person. But if you just want to talk, give Beyond Blue, Lifeline. There's plenty of places that you can call. Talk to friends, and if you do happen to be on the receiving end of that, if you are a friend and someone is acting out of the normal, you're noticing that they seem to be stressed, anxious, they may be acting differently, they could be in a depressive state, it's not our place to say they should do something. But for me, I know that seeking professional support has been beneficial, and I can highly recommend to those that may be in that sort of state, going down that path, or even just talking to someone. All that you need to do if you're on the receiving end of someone talking to you about their mental health is be there to love and support them, and that's really important. I hope that you've had a great weekend. We look forward to some rain today across the region, even if it is a little bit. Every little bit counts. And thanks for joining us with Good Morning Toowoomba. I'm Ben Apsey.